My name's Rafal Kowalski. I've been with Abt for about 16 years. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. It really means a lot to us to have all of you. Thank you to all our vendors that sponsored this event to be able to put it on, everyone that worked very hard over the last few months to get it together. And thank you for all our panelists for flying in and coming way out of your way to have this special night with us. And here's Joe Klett, and he can tell you a little bit about himself.
Good evening. My name is Joe Klett. I've been with Abt almost 30 years now, and I drew the short straw, so that's why they got me up here tonight. So I really sell refrigerators for a living, so just bear with me tonight. And we have a wonderful, distinguished group of people here. We have designers, we got manufacturers with us. So I'm gonna run through, introduce them, and they will give a small talk on who they are and what they do. Starting with Mick De Giulio.
All right. Thank you, Joe. And thank you all for being here tonight. It's a pleasure. Mick De Giulio. I am representing, I'm the local out of everyone here, and based in Chicago area. I've been in business now for about 40 years. And I've worked with Abt for a long time. Worked with Abt doing the Inspiration Center upstairs, if you get a chance to take a look. And welcome. Thank you for being here.
And next we have Suzanne Kasler.
Oh, it's so great to be here. I used to come to Chicago in my early career because I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and 30 years ago we moved to Atlanta. So I have a design firm in Atlanta, Georgia, with 13 people. And what's been interesting is how high-end residential and this whole kind of environment really has driven a whole new level of appreciation for really creating a lifestyle. And it's exciting to be here tonight and share thoughts with you.
And next we have Matthew Quinn.
Hello. I'm also Atlanta, Georgia, Southerner designer. I'm a kitchen, bath, and dressing room designer, working internationally, have a firm of 40 out of Atlanta, and we also have a studio in Nashville. And just glad to be here and hopefully convince Abt to put another store in Atlanta.
Next we have Ann Puricelli.
Hi, my name's Ann Puricelli. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, so the South is well represented. I work for Middleby Residential. We're a parent company for 19 residential brands. I'm actually third generation in the appliance industry, so I love it. It's kind of my niche, and I've known everybody on this panel for a little over 20 years, so these are great, great people. Thanks for having us.
And last, we have Chris Kaeser.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, a pleasure to be here. I'm not going to go through where I live, but I can say I am a bit of a local. If anyone knows Jackson, I'm a Jackson Jet. That's over in Elmhurst. I started my elementary school here and went through IC, so I'm kind of a local. I live in Las Vegas now, a lot of things in between, but I'm here for BSH, the three brands of Bosch, Thermador, and Gaggenau. Really honored to be here. I think Phil and I were talking. I think we've been roughly 44, 38, 40 years doing business with Abt, and we're super proud that you guys market our brands.
Thank you. All right, what we're going to do, I'll throw some questions out, maybe not person specific, but if you want to throw in, I'm going to start with Mick, because you're my first on my left.
All right.
What are some of the current trends to designs you have observed, and how do you incorporate them into your projects?
In terms of the trends that are happening, especially, let's say, in kitchens and home design, I think the most important one is lifestyle trend, how people are choosing to live in their homes. And one of the most important things is the openness, the open plan idea, where the kitchen being the center of the room, and the idea that people want to live in their kitchens, not only function of cooking, dining, cleaning, but doing the life of everything in the kitchen. The kitchen is everything.
I got it. Are there other trends that you're seeing maybe in the South that would not be normal in the Midwest?
Well, really, all of our work is everywhere in the country we see. But what Mick was saying is because the kitchen is such a place where everybody wants to hang out, what we've been seeing is everyone is doing the secondary scullery or kitchen, behind the kitchen. Because if you have even a big family dinner, everyone wants to still hang out in the kitchen if you have friends over. So it gives you a place to either have someone help you work in the kitchen or put things away in the kitchen. So a big trend has been certainly the behind the scenes kitchen. And the other biggest trend that we are seeing is the closet. And every time I work with the architects, we say the closet is not big enough. And what's happened is people are traveling. If they live in Chicago, they go somewhere warm in the winter. People in the South might go skiing, and people do not want to change out their closets like they used to. Everybody's wearing their clothes. So the closet, to me, is the biggest focus of trends happening.
Yeah, I will emphasize that, I mean, it's great for Abt, but there's basically a kitchen behind a kitchen. 90% of the projects I do, there's a back kitchen, a scullery, dirty kitchen, butler's pantry. I mean, it all has so many different names, but it is these ancillary spaces that have become, critical. We maintain an open floor plan, but there may be a smoothie room, a juice room, a back kitchen. Yeah, it's just, and it is like I said, it's prevalent and almost necessary. I will say, weirdly enough, and it's not maybe a good trend, but doing a lot of gun rooms. So gun rooms have become very all over the country, not just the South. Very.
He said gun rooms for
gun
people
room.
that didn't hear that.
So it's basically you take kind of a bourbon room, and which is great, mix guns and liquor together, but they're just like these incredibly beautiful rooms.
I was just going to say, as the kitchen extends into a secondary and even tertiary space, from an appliance standpoint, it's great because you get to fulfill needs that are really specific. So the main kitchen obviously is your show kitchen, and so the choices that drive those appliances are very different than what might be your scullery or your dirty kitchen, your work kitchen, and then the master suite, guest suite, the gun room. A lot of appliances have been added, which is really changed the way we go to market and how we broaden our product offerings.
Now, I know you all work closely with manufacturers, and you kind of are trendsetters for a lot of them, which gives you kind of the inside track of what's coming or maybe what you're suggesting. What do you see or pushing for from the manufacturers that we can see down the road?
I think one of the appliances first, I think of the sink. The sink is a water appliance, and very important to people. People are concentrating on all the things that go on around the sink, colanders and cutting boards and all the accessories. So that's number one. Probably number two would be a steam convection oven, which seems to be gaining a little bit more ground. They're fantastic in terms of how they work. People need to use it, and it's there's a reluctance on something that's new, but once people do use it, they understand how it works and really enjoy using it.
Well, everyone always reads their instructions, right? They all know how to use everything.
Well, one thing, maybe because I have a color collection with La Cornue, I have seen my clients embracing the beautiful appliances as almost an art piece and willing to spend a lot of money on that as a feature in the kitchen, and then they can custom color it or use my colors. And I just have found it interesting that trend has, they're kind of like, it's almost like a special feature that's very expensive, but it really sets the tone of how people love their kitchens and the focus that they're putting on the design. And it kind of starts with the stove.
Yeah, I would say in general, trends-wise, I'm finding now that resale is not really part of the design puzzle today. It's really about the client wants to express themselves. They want to show their personality, and they're not scared anymore. So color is a really big part of that. So it's not just as far as a manufacturer goes. I mean, what we try and do is we push the manufacturers to allow a client to customize to a certain point their range. Doesn't have to be a La Cornue, but it can be the combination of metals. It can be the combination. It can be adding induction mixed in with gas. But the more you can allow that customer to kind of insert their individualism to that product, to those appliances, I think that makes it more successful.
I have a question for Chris on this. How, as a manufacturer, do you use people like this or builders to get what they're asking for? What do you get from them to help you make what they need?
Yeah, I mean, that's great question, because it's so vitally important that we're connected to the trade community, that we bring back the ideas that we're talking about right now to our development team. That's why we have things like Star Partner with Thermador, so we can get close to you folks and understand exactly what your needs are. Many of our products have come out of those collaborations, those discussions. Column refrigeration was clearly from that point of consumers want to have choices and choices in lifestyle. So the Freedom Collection was really born from that, and we expand that out. So it really is that Joe, the continued collaboration with the trade, events like this, simple conversations over a glass of wine and understanding your pain points or your ideas. So the closer we can connect. So all these trade programs, these trade outreach opportunities are how we really learn what builders, developers, and designers need to satisfy their clients.
Ann, you have anything on that?
Yeah, I think any appliance manufacturer is well served to listen to the designers. Really, they're the ones leading the trends. They're the ones being followed by second tier, third tier, and even Pinterest. So we can take a lot of direction from them, and we should. La Cornue certainly does. I think these three to my right have tasked us. When they say we want to ask for something unique, they're not kidding. We've built things that we didn't know were physically possible to be achieved, but that's where the magic is. And we're going to the Kitchen and Bath show in 2 weeks, and almost everything we're showing at our booth was driven by designers asking us to solve problems. Today, you can hide almost every appliance in your kitchen. Even your sink gets disguised with, cutting boards integrated into it, and there's faucets that can pop up and down. You really can't hide a range when you're cooking. So often that is the focal point of a kitchen, especially if you're doing a full range. You can hide an induction cooktop or range top, fine, but the range becomes that focal point. It's part of the design. And so that's really important that we get that right, because you never want the appliance to be the exception to design. You want it to complement it. So we really lean into that and try and add value to the designer's work.
Thank you. We'll start with Matthew on this one. Social media has changed how we go to market, how we work with customers, and how do you leverage those platforms, Instagram or Pinterest, and show your work to the masses?
Yeah.
You have somebody for that that does that for you.
I do have somebody for that. I mean, I think all three of us have books, so we have a significant amount of content that we can put on Instagram. But at the same time, I'm very protective of anything new that I'm doing. Especially with AI these days, it's incredibly, we just had a presentation on this past Monday on how AI is going to affect us as a business. And I'm still a little trembling from it. But I use it as, obviously you can see my work, my portfolio, and then I think it's important that you see a little bit of my personality. And what I find happens is the interview process, when I'm hired by a client, they feel like they already know me, so it's kind of a lot quicker to get, I spend more time getting to know that client, make sure that client is right for me. They've kind of already decided I'm right for them. So It's an incredibly important tool. It's basically your website. Your website's kind of irrelevant at this point. So, yeah, it's scary, but it's also essential.
Well, what I love about the social media part of our business is how it really connects us. And so I also get very inspired. And I do find that all of the people that look at our Instagram, they are also inspired. There are challenges in the way that sometimes it makes design look like it is glamorous, fun, and maybe easier than it might be. But we really love, so there's such a great part of it that is part of it as well. So I just think that the social media part of connecting, like you mentioned, people then really, and they do want to know your story a little bit. And then people, when you meet them, you just, it's kind of a good feeling for everybody.
Yeah, it is a very important tool, and as Matthew said, a way to connect with the clients. It's a big subject though, right? It's understanding why are you doing it and who is your audience, and sometimes I wonder who our audience is. Is it really the people on Instagram? And as Matthew had said also about protecting our work, there is, you'll go to a presentation by someone and you'll see some of your work as part of another presentation because people are taking things off Pinterest and off of Instagram. So I think it's something that still needs to be figured out. One of the most important things, though, is trying to do it creatively and make it more substantial. Instead of just a travel log and telling people, here's where I am at a stone yard, how can something be more impactful and more substantial and make a difference to people?
Suzanne, what are some common mistakes that you'd see from maybe a builder or a client when planning their new renovation or new build, and how do you address that with them tactfully?
I think one of the biggest things that I see is the client not hiring the whole team together. And what we mean is the architect, the interior designer, and the landscape architect, as well as the builder. Because if you get the team together with the client, then there will be the collaboration and not making mistakes. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to look at the landscape plan, because today people want to have outside rooms that are like interior rooms. They want to live inside and outside the house, including, as you all know, the kitchen is a huge part of the exterior. And one of the challenges we're always having if we don't get the landscape person in is no one can figure out where to put the grill. It seems to be the biggest universal challenge. And if we plan it right, we can make it be a beautiful part of the design.
Yeah, agreed. There is the inside-outside design is such an important part of what we do. I was reading a book the other day. It was Japanese design, and there's a term for inside-outside design, and I can't repeat it in Japanese, but it means borrowed scenery. And what we're doing is borrowing the scenery from outside to bring into the kitchen, and how important that is.
And more than ever, don't you think?
I think
Yep.
so, yeah.
I mean, I would say a mistake would be planning a wedding as the end date of the construction, because that never works. I'd say if you have a client and they say, can you give them a budget, and they say, can you do it for half that? That never works. And then just really, Suzanne's right. It's the team. It's hiring that full team, that collaborative team, a team where everyone gets along and supports each other and inspires each other. That's incredibly important.
And hiring that kitchen designer as part of our original team. I'm always fighting for that in the beginning.
Now, I know all your clients have endless budgets, but let's say you have that customer that doesn't have that. Where are cost-effective measures where you can take that still give you the wow or bam, where you can actually cut on something and don't say the appliances?
I was going to add that you can't cut on the appliances. The closet, maybe shrink the closet.
They're putting refrigerators in closets now.
Perfect.
Thank you. Anyone want to take that, Mick?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that question.
Again, no budgets, no budgets.
Because I kind of don't roll that way, but the idea of, of course, paint, and there's hardware, and there are ways to tweak things. But if you're looking at doing a project, sometimes I'll tell people maybe it's better to wait instead of putting money into a project and wait and do it the right way.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, or setting the priorities. I think, like you're saying, if you have everyone, it doesn't matter what resources people have, everyone has a budget. And many times we'll be working on a project that gave us a budget, but it did not include those new cars in the garage or other things, the AV equipment. So I think what we have to do as designers is just listen to the client and prioritize.
Yeah, sometimes I'll use a Thermador range and not a La Cornue. That's my cost savings. There you go.
We'll take it, Matthew. It's okay. But I was going to say to that, Joe, that's a good point, though, because when we're out there, and I know when your builder team's out there and our builder team's out there and working with the trade and discussing things, we can't assume, and you can't assume anything, because price points are actually very misleading, and where someone's package can end up can really help your budget. And Matthew's point is right. A lot of people may not know that you can have a Thermador package for 15, 16 grand that could fit into a great project, and you guys, your team knows that and does that. So we can't assume things in budget. It's not about the dollar, it's about what you can get to your client and what products you can get. I'm sure that applies to everything you work with in materials.
Fairly confident Matthew's next project's going to have a Viking package after that comment.
We all know there's many clients out there that never even turn on their stoves. But how do you know what to suggest, or what would they go for then in appliance? Matt?
Well, I mean, having a store like this is, it's always the very first field trip with a client is really understanding how we want it to function. What their needs are, their family needs. So I would love a store like this in Atlanta. We have to go to a few places there, but that is critical to the start of the design process, is really understanding those needs. As a kitchen designer, we have to be very aware of all of the products that are available so we can speak about them and make suggestions for them. Clearly, we become loyal, or we rely on certain manufacturers because they basically do as we ask. We make suggestions on design changes, color changes, whatever it may be, and they respond. So we naturally will gravitate to those particular products.
I think the challenge today is there's so many options, and we do look to, I really look like Matthew is in my world, and I really always want him involved in our projects. Or like Mick, any kitchen designer, you guys have to keep up on, there's so many options. People always say, what dishwasher, the stove thing has kind of become its own specialty, where people are appreciating that. But all the other things that you have to bring in, you all have to keep up on the knowledge of what's happening with those manufacturers, really.
Yeah, and I really, and I know Matthew, Suzanne, you look at your jobs in the same way, where we are the client's advocate. We're the trustee for the client. It's up to us to find out how they work and what the best thing is for them, and not that we're trying to sell people things. We're really trying to find the best thing for them. And I think that's what people are looking for today, is that level of trust.
I like that you get to be the advocate and we get to be the therapists, because they come to us and their heart's set on a chateau range, but they need to know where they can cut. Where can I cut to justify the range? So sometimes the kitchen designers, I can go right back your way and I can cut on the cabinetry. But that's the most important thing to them, and they're willing to have less expensive cabinetry or less expensive countertops, because that La Cornue range or the that is really what their identification of a dream kitchen is. So we do a lot of kind of therapeutic support, and we spend a lot of time working with designers and directly with the clients to make sure. You're not going to have a happy client if they buy the wrong product for them. So just because there is a package or a special or they get a free dishwasher, if it's not the right product for them, you failed them. So it's really, really important that we educate. We spend a ton of time and resources educating the sales staff here and educating the design community, because that is the way we're going to make sure that they are representing our products to their client, and we end up having happy clients who bought the perfect product for them.
Many new designers, young designers, aspire to be you guys up here. What do you tell your new hires? What would you tell somebody that's starting out in design to get to where you are? What do they need to experience and learn?
I really always tell designers to do a show house. It is the one time where you can be the client, so you can really be creative. And there's such a way of connecting with other designers and vendors in your community, and the synergy that show houses bring. And I know when I first moved to Atlanta, I was an established designer in Indianapolis, but when I moved to Atlanta, there might be 200 interior designers in Atlanta. And I was really not sure how to get started again. And I took the smallest room in a show house, and it just connects you on every level, but it also gives you a chance to have that room photographed. So I always tell young designers, even when you're on a tightest budget, and then the other thing you should do is photograph your own apartment, your own little, house, even though it's just small and you're just starting out. It really just makes a difference.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a great idea. I think what I would say in terms of advice is stick with it, endure. Keep going. There are so many things that go wrong on projects, right? And and it can get you down. And I see people that are younger and going through these kind of these times. But it's really getting through those down cycles, and there is so much to gratification in our job too. Suzanne and I were talking earlier just about it's more fun now as we've gotten older, and we, maybe have more tools in our tool chest in terms of dealing with the designs and those kind of things. But it's getting there. It's staying with it. Very important.
Yeah, I would recommend reading books, reading magazines. I feel like the designers, they can go on Instagram and Pinterest and just, there's no context there. There's 7 words, and you're supposed to understand what the challenges were. And there are challenges. So I think reading books and reading magazines and understanding the context behind how the design came to be versus just copying what you see on Instagram. I know I'm a better employer, a better leader, because I have done every single job in my firm. I can't do it as well as the people I have now doing it, but I have done that job. So I feel like as a young designer, you should learn all of the jobs. I know that's the philosophy here at Abt, which is awesome. So I think you can't just immediately think you're going to jump out of school and you're going to become a star designer. You've got to go from the basics. I used to teach kitchen design, and I was shocked in Atlanta. I was shocked how all of my students, most of them had never even been to Home Depot, so they have no idea how a house is built, which is mind-blowing. So I would take the time and walk them through the aisles and I have to explain what a 2x4 is. This is crazy. So it's really just going all the way down to the basics and learning that, and that's going to make them more successful later.
For Matt and Ann, here in the Midwest, we're a gas market, and With all the news, there was this electric scare. We're all going electric. What is the take from your manufacturers?
Okay, I'm going to weave a few things into that one. So, it's okay. Everyone knows a Bosch dishwasher, I think, and most people in the room have one, I'm sure. Bosch dishwasher, you know that. But nobody came to us and said, "Hey, you need to make a dishwasher that uses less water." It's part of what we do as a sustainable company. We're one of the top producers and patent leaders with induction, so we can continue to develop induction. The Thermador logo generally has a star in it. That star is the burner. So obviously we enjoy gas products. We have incredible technologies that are coming on the road, and we as every manufacturer of gas understands all the challenges, we're not shying away from developing gas that is better for the environment, better for the consumer, better performance ratio. And so we'll continue down this path, as you see in other industries, very aware of what we have to do, balance the two equations. But induction is a fantastic product. It's getting better and better. It's getting more and more affordable. It's also getting more smart. But we'll continue to develop the gas side of it because it's super important.
I mean, induction is here to stay. It's been launched in the appliance industry 3 separate times, and it kind of limped along the first 2 times, and I think we can confidently say it's here. And I think the biggest hurdle getting people to switch from gas to induction, it's really visual. They feel an emotional connection to that flame that they can see turning it up higher heat instead of just trusting. It's hard for people to let go. You give it a chance and you see how responsive it is. And cooking is about control. Induction gives you the best in control. It's not going anywhere. On the coast, California, New York, high density markets, they're actually outlawing gas in new buildings, new construction. So you can't pull a permit and put in gas. So every manufacturer is solving for that. Every one of our cooking brands has induction ranges, induction cooktops, induction range tops. We also own a company called Brava, which is cooking with light. And that is something you'll start to see woven into more products because it gives you yet another option. So as people, empty nesters, single people, there's a lot of things that are evolving and getting us away from the gas market. Ventilation is trying to catch up because gas emits toxins and things that you don't want in your air. So we actually own a company called Novi, which is launching in the US this year. It is the most effective, powerful, and quietest ventilation on the market. It's a game changer. People think about dishwashers as cleaning in their kitchen, but what about cleaning the air your children breathe? So technology is a huge part of it, and induction and electrification is just one facet of it. So this is where the industry is going, and you guys see elements of it on the floor here, but there's products being designed today that will be on this floor in 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years. So we have that luxury of seeing where the market's going and planning ahead for it. And then designers are also kind of brought along to make sure we get that execution right. So it is exciting. I mean, he did not ask us the question about people wanting to grow up and be in the appliance industry, but it's a great world. Like it's technology and design and fashion, and it's a part of people's everyday lives.
I think that's because we're still trying to figure it out why we're in this business. And not to put you two on the spot, but the last 3 years have been a bit challenging. What have you guys done? What are you going to do so we can get appliances to our customers so they can finish their jobs?
I think the short answer is a lot. So COVID obviously reset it for everybody, right? There was global part shortage that just basically brought the appliance industry to a stop, and it was catastrophic. I mean, it just killed. There was not a manufacturer who was untouched, or a retailer. We've been busy behind the scenes, and I think this year, as I said, the Kitchen and Bath Show is in 2 weeks, and there is not a product in our booth, which is 5,000 square feet, that has been seen or executed before. So it's new design and new technology. We've made different buying decisions. We've made different engineering choices so that we can meet the demand in an immediate manner. The way we purchase them, we have a distribution company, the way we're manufacturing so that we can solve those needs more immediately. Because when somebody needs a refrigerator tomorrow, we can actually deliver that. And that's hugely important to people because we don't want to lose that sale. We want them to make the right choice because they can get the right product at the right time.
Yeah, and maybe in a different view of what the pandemic was. It was the great reset for all of us in our businesses. I think we all have businesses that are running far more expensive than they were before. And so this is the big challenge now that we have, because we've gotten out of this idea of we can't get you product. Trust me, we can all get you product now. it's okay. But now we have to get our costs under control, just like your businesses, just like Abt and everybody else. We put a lot more money into customer service and extra packaging and extra ideas to make sure the consumers are happy, because we were failing them for almost 2.5 years. And so now we're coming out of it. The inflation's still there. The purchasing costs are high. And our businesses are still operating. We're spending more. So this is one of the things all of us have to do in our businesses, understand how do we react to the Great Reset. And Ann's right. We're all prepared to deliver now, but we now have to work on the P&Ls to make sure that we can continue all the great things we do, these beautiful showrooms like we have here, and the investments into new innovations that cost money. And so we have to get those things in line. I think all of our businesses felt this in the last couple of years.
Now we'll just kind of finish this up with some quick speed questions, so short answers only. And so anybody can jump in, whoever wants to start this, if that's possible.
I don't know if I could do it.
Most inspirational place you've ever been?
Paris.
My favorite city is Paris. My favorite country is Iceland. My favorite place is Angkor Wat.
Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Lausanne, Switzerland.
Anywhere in Italy.
Good answer.
Who would you say was a role model for you starting?
You know, sitting here in the house of Abt, one person who has really been inspirational for me over the years, Bob Abt. He was an amazing person, such integrity, family man, hard worker, and a visionary. And I really had a lot of respect for Bob Abt.
Thank you.
I would say John Saladino was a huge inspiration for me. The combination, I always talk about design is all about architecture, and his way of putting architecture and interiors together really inspired me as a young designer, and really always.
My role model 32 years ago and still today is De Giulio. He put kitchen design on the map, luxury kitchen design, made kitchen designers their own separate entity, their own profession, and absolutely Mick De Giulio.
God, thank you, Matthew. Thank you.
My role model would be my dad. It's probably a trite answer, but he owned a distribution company out in California. And in fact, I used to call on Abt 20-some years ago. So I just learned a lot from him about the business and about the importance of customers' relationships. You know, you're as good as your word, and this is very much a relationship business. So I hope I can live up to everything I learned from him.
Well, since I'm in the last seat down here, and Mick took a really good one, and then Ann stole the next really good one, and I want to say Matthew, but I'm not sure you really are my, inspiration yet. So I'm going to say Michael Jordan. No, I would say for sure my father, like Ann. He taught me the grind. I think that's our industry. It's a bit of the grind. It's a relationship industry. It's something where you have to love to do. Maybe it's not the most highest paying industry we could be in, but I look around this room and the faces are always familiar. And we can't get out of this industry, and I think that's for a reason. We all love it.
And last one, what is one design trend you want to see eliminated for good?
I mean, I don't know if it's a trend, but the world would be a better place without over-the-range microwaves and stainless steel dishwashers. I hate stainless steel dishwashers.
Wow, okay, that's tough.
I like integrated dishwashers.
Okay, we're good.
I mean, I live in Nashville, and I'm really, really sick of that farmhouse chic of the shiplap houses with the black windows. I mean, I actually get physically angry now when I see them going up. So it's my very passionate answer.
Looking this way, all right. I'm going to go on the design side. I can't take Tuscan anywhere, any place, anymore. I just want to see modern and the rest of the world everywhere.
Tuscan,
Modern.
not Tuscany, just to be
Tuscan.
clear.
Keep Tuscany.
I think it's hard to talk about trends because trends a lot of times inspire either a positive or a negative reaction. So the positive is if, like, for instance, when we went through the trend of over the maximalist design, it's so editorial, or then you go to the farmhouse restoration hardware, kind of clean, minimal. I don't know that trends today, we all kind of like them because they kind of make you have an opinion or maybe help you make your own opinion about what you want.
And I think, it's, of course, anything that's overdone, but along the lines of what Suzanne is saying, it is it's an opportunity. The trends are an opportunity to do something differently, too, right? It's,
Oh.
It actually is. So, but the trends are an opportunity. I mean, what we do is reinterpret things, right? We give things a new perspective. And so you could look at something that's overdone, and it could be shiplap or whatever, but I think there's always a way to do it in an incredible way. And there's an opportunity to do shiplap. I can actually think of a project that we did where the interior is shiplap, and it's one of my favorite projects still. And the shiplap goes in horizontal, it's vertical, there are angles and all different types of things. So, it's our job is reinterpreting many of the things that are out there already.
Well, I want to thank the panel for coming out here. This was great, our first time doing this, and we appreciate you all being here. We also appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to be with us here at Abt. Without you, we don't exist, so thank you for that. Please make sure to get around to all the kitchens, upstairs, downstairs, there's food. The bars are open until 9 o'clock. And remember, at 8:30, they'll be showing on the TV screens if you signed up for the raffle. There's some great prizes tonight. So again, thanks again, and everyone get home safe.